The Origins of Life, Waves of Enlightenment, Part 8. So, we were discussing whether this will be like the perfect shape. So, in one sense, it's like a yin. If we imagine like a 3D version, it's like a yin yang because it's got its positive and negative. Well, it can be 2D, but it's got a sharp point, it's got a round point. You know what I mean? It's got all those contrast within it in one single shape. So like that yin yang kind of element and stuff like. So if that were the realm, then there's a logic to it, rather than, I suppose, like the globe it's wider at the bottom for no reason at all. You know what I mean? You're not supposed to have an up and down in space, so why would it be wider at the bottom and all these kind of things and stuff like. But I mean, I'm gonna say it's like speculation, but it's gonna like, because I can't go to the external viewpoint and just say, yeah, look at it or whatever and take a picture and prove it and all these kind of things. But in terms of like when you look at nature and you look at like all the examples and we're finding like a reason for why things have these shapes, then then maybe it is more than speculation. I mean, I don't know, but but there's a lot to it. It does make sense to me. It's like, like I say, when we're talking about the external areas, like beyond the dome and all these kind of things, it's like, how can I say for concrete, in for what evidence I can provide and all these kind of things and stuff, which I've got more to discuss as well on that, but that's later, next video or so. So yeah, that in itself is quite good, as I mean, like I say, as a yin yang and stuff. So there were Danielle, Smurfer Girl, left a comment about a heart being made out of 2 teardrops, which makes sense. It's kind of like, you can see the shape, can't you? So just if you can see it more of an angle, it's the same thing. But well, like I say, it makes sense in that kind of way, because it's an important thing, because we've got 2s of things and it's like numbers of things. like the relevance of like numerology, like the meanings behind the numbers and all these kind of things, or whether it is relevant to this research or not and stuff like. But we keep finding certain numbers. There's 1s, 2s, 3s, 6s, and whatever else. So, one sense of things. With 2, you've got, there's so much to add to it, you know what I mean? Because like we're talking about the element of the expression of love and that kind of sense, of the intention. Choose your word in a sense and stuff, but to like say how that kind of is relevant to like the origins of life and all these kind of things. Like I said earlier on the previous videos about like seeing it from a childlike view of what life is rather than that scientist view. I mean, it makes sense, that left brain view, but also that spiritual view is so much an integral part of it as well. So in here we've got the 2. You see the line, you've got the 2 tiers, and then also so how important 2 tiers are in that kind of way, how it forms this shape and stuff. I mean, it's a wave, and that's the reflection, so that's the same on the other side and stuff like. And then we've also got a Fibonacci spiral, so you can see where the eyes become located, whichever part of the anatomy in that kind of sense and stuff, or for whatever creature, and it depends on size of wave, for how wide ahead, or whether your eyes are closer or further apart, all these kind of things. So you can see how that would relate to the ocean in that kind of sense, what kind of wave it is, and does it have any relevance to your actual perspective of the world? Like how if you can see calm waves or you can see rough waves, you know what I mean? It's gonna like I suppose it's more relevant to like maybe past lives because as or maybe like part of how you grow and how you develop in this life as well. That kind of shapes you. But I kind of think a lot of it probably come from potentially past lives, but also the aspects of the ocean itself. I mean, it's displaying that, it's showing you the aspects of the ocean and stuff. Um, you see it with different animals, different types of monkeys and all these kind of things, and like a gorilla looks a lot more scarier than a chimpanzee, per se. Um, all sorts of things. Um, but that's it in terms of like with the anatomy and how the contrast of like the shape and all that kind of thing, how it does relate to like the macro in that kind of way, and does that have any effect on your conscience? On how you not your conscience, your conscious, sorry, and how you like interact with the world. Like in the previous video, we're showing the birds with all the rainbow colours coming through, or the fish with rainbows coming through. Um, we are like a prism, you know what I mean? It's gonna like we're just different size prisms, different shapes or different colours. It's like depends what your star signs are and all these kind of things, and you add all them up, and it's gonna like you might have like it's made up of 12 different signs. Um, so you might have more water than earth, or fire or air, and all these kind of things, and you might have a bit of each. You might have not. There might be one. You know what I mean? They're all different and stuff. It depends when you're born and all these kind of things. But if that adds to like how you see the world, how you interpret with the world, your communication with reality, then it might be an important aspect of things, especially as like in terms of like mental health or just general health. I mean, or just as approach to how we teach people. How to live in the world and all these kind of things. Like understanding the individual in that kind of sense. Everybody requires a different approach, for how we thrive. You can send somebody to military and everybody gets the same training, we get the more or less the same outcome, but you're not getting the individual's true, authentic essence. They're all molded into a shape, rather than trying to find like how people best develop. So rather than putting somebody in a box or category, I mean, you can find more of a specific angle upon things. It depends on what it is and what topic we're talking about and stuff. And there's so much to go into with all that kind of thing. Like, and I didn't want to do it right now, but like I said, I end up going off on one and stuff like so. But so yeah, we got it again. So if you just see one of them, it's like a wave. So like that kind of thing. So you can relate it to snail shell. So that spiral of a wave, how it's relevant to it all. So like your perspective and time, what's involved in that in your experience of the world and stuff, like it's all in there. So that's like part of your face as well. So you see where the eyes would go and such. So another example of how the two teardrops is important. That kind of what birds offer each other in that kind of sense, and that codependency and helpfulness, teamwork. There's a lot of things which come in with it and stuff. But like the psychological aspect, the psychology on the heart, how it just makes them feel comfortable in the sense of that they've got that kind of companionship. For whilst we're out of the ocean, you know what I mean? It's kind of like when you're in the ocean, when you're part of the ocean, you know what I mean? When you're not amongst the living in that kind of way and stuff, like you'd be surrounded by what the ocean is, what the water is, in sense of like energetic terms, which should be emotion. So, kind of like surrounded in love, but I mean, you get storms, don't you? So the ocean's not always, at rest in that kind of way. It's never at rest, but for all important aspects of like what life is, what we are. We are the emotions, you know what I mean, rather than looking at the physical. Because, like, if you try to ignore the physical, you can see a lot more of what we truly are. And when you really realize that the physical is kind of like more of it's an illusion, because, like, when you're young compared to when you're old, and how people will treat you differently because of how you look, then you can see how people don't see the true essence of who you are, you know what I mean, and stuff like. So, like these recognize who they are in that kind of sense. They're at the right frequency and, vibration of each other and stuff. Yeah, there's a lot to add to that, I suppose. But so we were talking about this earlier on a previous one. We were mentioning arms and fingers and all sorts of things, blood vessels and all of that. So just refreshing over. So I think what first series, we were talking about the forest and the mother tree and the potentiality that Earth has a heart, an actual heart. And it's like, I imagined it as like part of the tree, you know what I mean? Like some sort of gigantic burl which had kind of developed and become more than a burl, maybe, and wouldn't function like a heart like ours does. It'd have its own, I mean, you kind of get ideas or whatever and stuff like. But when we think about it in the ocean, and now we're closer to where the origins is and all that kind of stuff, because the trees get it from the ocean. So if the heart were there, then this is what it'd be. So for one, we've got the circulation, and then when we look at it on that side, we've got the same circulation system. It's how it flows through each other and stuff. How it's got the blue and the red. You got cold and warm. Small circle, great circle. I don't know. Oh, CO2 and O2. But each example is like, it's kind of showing you the same thing. So it's kind of like that's where the heart is. It's the ocean. So it's like how our heart works. It's following that same function. So how it works, how it functions, how it flows, and all these kind of things. It's like we look at the macro to find out more information about it, So like, when we kind of like changes perspective on on what we know about the heart already, you know what I mean, and stuff like, and then now we can reintroduce as thinking towards it and stuff like. I'm not a heart expert, you know, but in recognizing the micro to the macro with the heart in that kind of sense, then it could change, you know what I mean, like how we look at medical science and stuff. Hopefully, you know, hopefully we can improve things and stuff like. But yeah, oxygen rich, oxygen poor. So you get your red and your blue. So then it connects to everything else, and you've got like chakra maps for the earth. And so then, like, if you align the chakras, and maybe that'll align with all the different, all different organs and stuff like. So this is also, do you know, like tides? So the sun comes over, it warms the water, and I kind of think that causes displacement. And from where it's heating it, you get the displacement of water, which causes ripples, energy waves, which then turn into waves at the shore. And you know that's what causes it. Obviously, it freezes and it expands, and then it becomes ice and all that kind of stuff. Like, so when it heats up, it kind of becomes more loose in that kind of way, and then creates its currents and flows and all that kind of stuff. So it's a tsunami picture. So what we're seeing, you see this shape? It's a typical duck head with a beak. You know, it looks a bit like Loch Ness monster, that kind of shape. So like a snake. There's an abundance of things. You know, like a caterpillar. It does that hump when it walks, and all these kind of things and stuff. But it's showing you like this ability to climb as well. You know, how we. I mean, it's taken some power on it and stuff like. But when you're talking about a tsunami as well, kind of thing. But I mean, just a normal shower, you know what I mean? And when it's not a tsunami and stuff like, it has this function. It's just that with a tsunami, it can get up a lot further and stuff like. So, you know, you can see that, well, obviously power behind it, but also how it climbs over itself. You know, how it kind of like, it's like part of your own function. So it's like when I grab and I pull myself up, like whether it's a wall or whatever, it's doing the same thing, you know, because the water kind of, there's a bit of a grabbing sensation towards it, in a way. I can't remember what to say about it. I think half is missing. That's what it is. But you see how it like coming up the land and all that kind of stuff. See, like the water's there, and now it's up there, and then it's up there in a sense of like, because like it's only a small picture. I'll try and go back again. There we go. So yeah, you got all your elevations at this point as well as this point. So its ability to do this. I mean, it happens by happenstance. It doesn't really choose to do it. Not that I'm aware of as such, but I mean, you know, I spoke about watercolor painting, and or I hope I did. I don't know. I think I did anyway. Like when watercolor artists, and when I used to do it, it used to seem like sometimes, I mean, you got to get used to doing it. But sometimes it seems like it just seems to do it for you. You know what I mean? When you're kind of like laying it down and putting it places and stuff, and it's kind of like it'll go right to the edge of where you wanted it to go, or the color will add into the other color how you wanted it, and you know it's kind of like almost like the water's conscious and working with you. You know, but. But yeah, it's another thing anyway. So um, so here we've got an example of so like the pressure, like the water rolls over. So like you got a current there, and this is kind of like trapped underneath. Yeah, so it's like there's no room to go this way. Um, so like the water can move over the top of it in that kind of sense. So then, when we look at it like that, if we're saying that this is like the body of the water, this is the shore, and then this is like how it can carry itself over the water, over itself. It's the same way. You see, when you see them walk, it looks like we're doing a Mexican wave. So that wave pattern, it's relevant in that kind of way. So just another angle of it. That's another example of water, how it moves. So when we were talking about the lines in ocean, when a wave goes out and it kind of leaves lines behind it, like trail lines. So you got the lines that go that way. Obviously, each line that way can be representing a wave. So you got this crisscross pattern there, and you can find that like on butterfly wings and all these type of things and stuff like. Um, I've always more like to do it wave and stuff kind of thing, but because you also tend to find like leaf shape, like on the butterfly wings and stuff like that. I'm not really seeing that here, but we do have this grid pattern, which is something to add to it really. But so there's another aspect, and that is looking at the rolling of the waves, like trying to get a picture of the entire. Because we look at one wave, that's one thing, isn't it? And now we've got like it's like 6 waves, 7 maybe, 3 here, and we kind of like see the shapes, even with this cross section here. So another example of how it rolls over itself. So the top body can carry itself over. So this is like why a dog's got 4 legs, you know what I mean? It walks that way kind of thing, rather than like humans. We're walking 2 legs, and we're more different. We're more like the front wave, or a tall wave which is stood up. We're stood up when we're awake, we're laid down to sleep. So once we go to sleep, that's when it's laid down. So with a dog, it's it carries the body like a centipede. So it's like the ocean moving, whereas it's got its head comes up and out on a dog or a cat, so on. So we've got the insect legs, how the wave comes out, individual waves. That part looks upside down. So you got wave, a wave, a wave, a wave, a wave, a wave, all of that. And I suppose you can turn it upside down. And then you got the splash that goes on. It could be like the gripping into the ground, into the rivets that it makes into the sand that the ocean does. Which it can be that way as well, even though there's not really many rivets there. We've got airs, but that's more to do with splashing. And they look like waves as well, but some of them you can see that it can go both ways. So again, you can see quite strong waves. Each segment is another wave, even though all of it is just one at the same time as well. You see, that's a wave, but it's got the splashing on underside. So it can reverse the information and use it how it wants, you know. And you look at all the different varieties of life of the years, then you have a water pattern, like a bandage. No, this is going into something else as well. And we've got all the spikes, all that kind of stuff. I should have done this part second. But, hold on. Alright, so... go back to this. Like with insects, how they get this jagged edge, all that kind of thing. And you look at when you get the opportunity to see like all the waves together and all these patterns that they're making. And now it's relevant. So spiky edges, fault leg, or whichever it is, whichever part of the body. So it doesn't have to be leg, it can be anywhere, can't it? You've got like lots of turtle shells have spikes on them sometimes, or whatever else and stuff. But so I took this picture and I didn't realise at the time I think it's somebody's made it. But I wanted this two waves rather than just two teardrops. It were two waves I was looking for. And I was thinking about the concept of like legs and that aspect of things. So, it doesn't turn around either. That's a shame. So if you imagine it other way around, it'd look like two ears or, that kind of thing. So you've got things like that. You got the moth, you got his face, and then he's got two ears or horns or whichever they are, kind of thing. You got cats, which also follow this pattern. So it's extended at top. So what it is with this side of things, because this is one way, it's not legs, is it? It's ears. This is more to do with perspective. It's like from that point to the furthest point in this area is all to do with perspective. So like we mentioned about time, time and perspective are all important in your integration with the world and stuff like. So like this area, like that V, I think that's what the V is. It's perspective. It's also two waves, so you got your wave and then you got your reflection. So it's only a reflection of the other and stuff like that. So all to add to it in that kind of way. And then also I showed some owls on the previous one of this series. We've got the lines going down that way, which it looks pretty much the same as that. Almost. You can tell it's not a cat, but then you also got owls like this as well, haven't you? You can see some down there, but I mean it's got this here, so it kind of changes its look. But you still got that V aspect of things, how it all comes down to a point and stuff. And it's the importance of like having them two waves, having that reflection. Which again goes back onto the love aspect of things and why it's important to have somebody like that, you know what I mean? In that kind of like essence of things. Working together, There's always so much to add to that, isn't there? But again, you got this V shape. This time, for horns and all that kind of stuff. Like, you got its ears there as well, so you can see wave shape. Although it's more like leafy because it's got like several waves within it, but also the wave being in the horn as well, kind of thing. But the important aspect is how it's reversible. So you turn this upside down, and that would be relevant to having a pair of legs. So it's kind of relevant, but it's got the wave shape rather than the perspective line. So it's used in a different way, basically. I think the it's probably them which are making the V shape, if anything. So you got it on spiders as well. So it comes out front and back. So that's why it's relevant to perspective and how you can match up to that, to the cat or the owl or etc. There's a lot of creatures with this pattern. So it's more to do with the macro aspect of things than the wave itself. I'm going to have to pause it, and I'll end it here, and I'll upload it, and there will be another one. And I've got another one to do after that as well. But it's more like the bonus stuff and, random things which I couldn't fit in or whatever and stuff like. But thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Cheers.